my little Instagram video there. Hopefully it doesn't fall over. It's a funny angle. Oh well. So I decided, I was like, you know what? I can live stream this because this might be helpful, especially for a lot of the folks in my audience. And it might give people an idea of what it's like to be in a business coaching or coaching program or relationship with me, which is always helpful because you might feel drawn to someone, but you don't know what the experience is actually like. So it's so much better to like show people than tell people. And this is true in like marketing as well. I remember that like very early on. I don't know if this was in business school or in something I did after business school. But you show versus tell, right? I can say like, oh, my coaching program will change your life. But if I can show you by like letting you be in the experience, and then you get a taste, and like if it's helpful for you or interesting for you or exciting for you or fun for you, great, you can hang out. So we are on Zoom, and I'm on Zoom with some of the, well, one lady in specific in my Your Stellar Center program, also in the Stellar Mastermind. And we're talking about my first group coaching experience. So if I look in two places, that's what's going on. I'm looking at my computer, I'm looking at Instagram as well, and group coaching experience from a teacher, from a leader perspective, launching it and then running it. And how this Lucinda, who's on here live with me with Zoom, had some really great questions that I thought needed to be shared in a bigger sense because they're great questions, and probably what I'm going to say might be helpful or could be helpful for other coaches or teachers or even just entrepreneurs that are thinking about putting a group coaching experience together. So a little background here. Is that I felt called to revisit this content from this group coaching program. It was called Lighten Up Your Life. I ran it once at the end of 2015. So I started my business in April of 2015. I ran this, I think it was fall. It was like fall 2015. And then I ran it again in 2016. It was like winter 2016. So this program, Lighten Up Your Life, it was my first group coaching program that I ran. And I felt called recently to revisit the content. And so I did, and I also invited the ladies in Your Stellar Center, if they wanted to revisit the content with me. Oh, cool. Emily's here as well. Let me let her in the room. So I invited the ladies to revisit it with me and revisit whatever they wanted. If they wanted to watch the workshops, and I'll chat a little bit about like what was included in that coaching program and the price, because those were some of your questions, like the price, what was included, how did it go? We'll talk about all that. But my intention was one, I felt this intuitive pull to revisit this material. And I think one, I wanted to see if there was something of value there that I could repurpose. And two, I know now, and one of my biggest takeaways was it was such a great learning experience to watch myself and to listen to myself and to like hear the things that I talked about and how I taught and what I taught on then. So I listened to that intuitive hit. I invited all of the ladies in Your Stellar Center to look at this material with me if they wanted to. I had some folks that were interested. And this conversation is coming from questions after looking at that material. So like I shared, I want to just start by sharing my reflections from looking back over this material. I already shared one of them, but I wanted to share my reflections. So hi, everyone joining on Instagram. I'm chatting about my first group coaching experience as a teacher, so leading a group coaching program, and some of the reflections I had, or some of the ahas, the insights I had upon doing a look back at this program that I ran now, oh my God, 5 years ago. What is time? So actually, I'm going to skip to my reflections will be at the end, because I want for, most people, like anyone on Instagram, I don't think has looked at the videos. Lucinda's here on Zoom. As I know that she has watched some of the videos, and maybe some of the folks watching this replay in the future have watched some of the videos, but I want to explain what it was and where I was at and what my intention was with the program, and then go into what my thoughts are, what my insights were now. Hi friends on Instagram, chatting about my first group coaching program. It was called Lighten Up Your Life. And I think that, so I graduated from IIN, the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, in 2014. Wait a second, was it 2014 or 2015? Because this program I ran that fall. So I graduated in the spring. I started my coaching business. I worked with some one-on-one clients, and then I decided I wanted to do a group program. And really my thought with a group program, and something that they do teach you in IIN, probably teach you in many other coach trainings, is that a group program can be a great way to not only help more people, but also and help more people in a more accessible way, because you are streamlining your hours. You can often make a group experience a lower cost than one-on-one coaching. It can also be a more efficient use of your time, a way to make more money in less time. So it really is, if groups are something you're comfortable in and something that you enjoy, it is a win-win situation. The other thing I really, and looking back on this program now, something great about doing a group experience or having an experience that's like part planned group content and part Q&A, which is what your Stellar Center is now, and also the mastermind component, is that you as the coach, as the expert, as the teacher, can plan out what points are important to get across. So for example, if we're talking about healthy living, which is what this program really was about back in 2015, Lighten Up Your Life, I was like, I know I want to talk about digestion and food basics, but I also want to talk about stress and mindfulness and also movement. So I was able to plan those into the content, but then have space for Q&A, so that folks could, ask questions, one, about anything that's unclear. That's a great way to find holes in your content or holes in your program, or ways that you could improve it. But also, it's a way for it to be personalized without having to okay, every single client, let's talk about the food basics. Every single client, let me give you my meditation tips. So that was my intention with this program. And truthfully too, hi, thanks for the love on Instagram. Let me know if this is helpful, if this is interesting so far. It truly is a trip down memory lane. And before we got on this, Lucinda had some really specific questions, like what was the price? And I had totally forgotten. So I was going back to all my old emails, and oh my gosh, just had to have such honor and respect and kind of awe for my younger self, who just went after it and did it. So that was cool. Anyways, what was I saying? The reason why I wanted to offer a group program is because I had also started working for another coach at this point. And so some of my time, a lot of my time was working for her, and I was really loving that, but I still wanted to have my coaching business. And so a group program felt like a really great way to do that, where I could show up maybe for fewer hours each week, but still show up as a coach while I was learning things in my other job. So that's why I decided to do a group program. And truly, like I said, I had worked with a few clients one-on-one, not that many, because as I've shared in other stories before, I started my coaching program. Oh, cool. Here's Danielle. I started my coaching business, and it was great, but it's not like clients came running through the door right away. Hi, Danielle. Good to see you. We're just starting talking about the why behind this group program, and I'm streaming on Instagram too. So if you don't want to be like heard on Instagram, you don't have to speak.
What's up, everybody?
What's up? So I had been working with one-on-one clients, and there were definitely things that I saw as like common themes. And I think I also loved this idea of being in a group. I've always, and that's something that's continued throughout, like even here we are, 5.5, 6 years later, like the group is joy for me. I love one-on-one. I love going deep with people, but I also think that I know that there's power in a community and doing things together. So that's where I really wanted to do this group program. And like I said, from a practical standpoint, I didn't have hours and hours and hours to like build up a like 20-person one-on-one practice. And truly that wasn't really feasible at the time. So I started visioning for this program, and a lot of the not the content, but the format was inspired by other coaches. And so that's something that's important if you are just starting out in your business, is to have people that are a few steps ahead of you that you can look to and say, look to not from a comparison standpoint, because that's not helpful, never helpful from a comparison standpoint, but as like a roadmap, like, oh, they're doing a group that's some group and some one-on-one. They're doing a group that's all group, and maybe a Q&A. They're doing a group that looks like this. You can look out for ideas and then say, oh, I'm drawn to that. Because likely if you're drawn to something, not only will it be easier for you to do, like don't try and put yourself in a box or in a format that doesn't work for you or isn't interesting for you, but your client is a lot like you. Your potential customer is a lot like you, in the fact that, like, I love the idea of having, well, at that time, I loved the idea of having the group calls and the Q&A and it being on video and us being able to do show and tell, and there also to be a one-on-one component, because there was a one-on-one component. So listen to, and this is something we talked about in the Remembering the Future workshop yesterday, of like listening to your desires. And that's true in business too, for what you're creating. Like what would be exciting for you as a customer, as a client. So what was included, like I mentioned, I did run this program twice, and it was 3 months each time. I did have some people repeat, so the content, like the materials, were slightly different, but there was definitely repeat content. If anybody watched all the videos, I was kind of like, because I watched them all again. I was like, oh, this is repeat, but it's fine, because that's also, not everybody absorbs everything the first time around. I think I mentioned this recently on a call, but I remember a statistic from when I was in my national instructing days with KPMG, and maybe Danielle, you know something about this too, like this statistic, but it's something like 7 to 9%. You retain something like 7 to 9% of the information that you are taught. And maybe that varies in different situations and depending on how engaged you are, how motivated you are, but it's a low percentage. So that's also a tip, is it's okay to repeat yourself. It's okay to repeat content even within a program.
Yeah, I like the stat of that you need to hit somebody with the same message 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
So like, old school would be like TV, radio, like print, whatever, like layman's, but now it will be like, what 3 channels, or what 3 times, or what 3 times are they hearing it? So,
yeah.
So 2 times, don't sweat it. Throw one more in the mix.
Throw one more in the mix. Yeah. So that's it. I also was, I'm looking at my notes here, because I did like a sales class a while back, and this woman was specifically talking about like Instagram and how many impressions you need for someone. It's something like 27 impressions, which means they need to see your content 27 times, like 27 posts or 27 stories instances before they actually like engage. So that's interesting. Anyway, so the program was 3 months each time, and what was included, it was basically the same each time. So there was a welcome package. Shout out to Kim, who was like, I want a welcome package. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'll send one to you, but that's not really scalable, which is what I'm working on right now in my business. But I sent all my one-on-one clients welcome packages at the beginning that had like teas and some superfoods or supplements. I didn't actually send them supplements, but like a greens powder that I liked. I did send everyone who joined your Stellar Center the first round Magic of Eye planners. So I guess I do still give gifts, but not hand packed welcome packages. But everyone in Lighten Up Your Life. Now I'm like confusing these programs. Lighten Up Your Life was my 2015-2016 program. Your Stellar Center is my current program and future program. So I sent them a welcome package. They got a clarity session, a one-on-one clarity session at the beginning. So that was like to set goals. And those I think were 45 minutes. That's what I have written down here. And then each month for the 3 months, there was a group video call where that was like a content call. So that's where I presented the information for the month. And then the second call of the month was a Q&A session. And this is so interesting. I'm like, I thought there was one-on-one. This might be the second time because definitely there was a one-on-one component as well. Let me double check another thing. But so one session where it was content, one session where it was Q&A. I did a lot of like show and tell in that second session. Like, here are my favorite food products. Here are my favorite like things connected to this topic. So we talked about food and like healthy food, what and how to eat one month. Another month we talked about movement and meditation. I think the third month we talked about stress. And those topics, those themes shifted slightly for the second round of the program. But there were, like I said, there was a lot of repeat content. One interactive. Oh, okay. So then I did offer a 20-minute. So they had a 45-minute session at the beginning of the program and then a 20-minute session each month. So there was still one-on-one within this program. So I ran that twice. And the first time, so Lucinda's questions, I was telling Lucinda before we started recording that, well, I know this about her because we've been in each other's worlds for a while, but she always has the best questions. And that's such a great gift as a coach. I mean, as a human, to be inquisitive and a good listener and like asking people is like, it's nice, but especially as a coach. So I just wanted to reflect that back to you. But she had some great questions. So I'm going to go through some of those now, and then we'll open it up if anyone here has questions. So as far as, I'm going to talk about how many people participated, some like things I learned there, like interesting notes. And also just being really real, because one thing that I saw a lot of, or I see a lot of, and I hear a lot of from new coaches, is that they want to do a group program. They like want to put it out there, do, workshops and this sort of thing. And then they have no one sign up and they feel like shit. Or they feel like, oh my gosh, does nobody want this? Or like, or they don't get the 20 people, maybe like 3 people sign up. I had 4 people and 3 people in these programs, and I'll talk through like who exactly they were. They weren't all paying clients. So it's okay. That's totally okay. So I'm going to just touch on that. So how many people participated in this program? The first time I ran it, I had 4 people sign up. 4 people sign up, one of which was my brother. No, and there's no like negating this because he was a paying and active participant. One of which was my aunt. Again, she was a paying and active participant, but just being really real. These were not like Instagram followers, which Instagram wasn't even that big of a thing at the time. So my brother, my aunt, my roommate, who I did a trade with and this is something that I saw a lot of in myself at the beginning of my like coaching and also just my wellness journey, and I also see a lot of or see some of in new coaches, is like wanting to help people that aren't ready for your help yet, and also assuming that you know that you can help people. Let's take a moment with that, like assuming that you can help people, assuming that you can, like, I mean, the word is fix. I saw, like, my roommate at the time, there were many unhealthy habits, and she would like complain to me about them. And so I was like, okay, you want to do this program? She didn't want to pay me. So we decided to do a trade, which didn't end up working out. We've been talking about trades and like money mindset and why trades a lot of the time don't work out in the mastermind. But what was the problem was there is that I wanted her to do this more than she wanted to do it. So she like participated kind of, but not really, and didn't pay me. And we didn't end up doing the trade, which kind of sucked. And then I had one other paying participant who I think she found me through my yoga studio, and she ghosted. Like, we had a really great first session. I think she might have shown up for like one group call, and then she disappeared. Her payments didn't go through. So I really had 2.5, like 3 participants in that program. The cost was $125 per month for the 3 months, or a total cost of $375. So $125 for 3 months for almost a 50-minute group call, a 50-minute group Q&A, a 20-minute one-on-one session, and they got, like, that was each month, and they got a welcome package and a clarity session at the beginning. So a lot for that. And even then I was like, oh my gosh, like $300, $400. So that was the first time. The second time, and what I did do, and this is what I do even now and what I've done with other programs that I've continued past the initial like window, is when we were coming to an end of that program, I talked with the participants, specifically the active participants, my brother and my aunt, and I was like, do you want to continue this? Like, if so, how can I make it better? What would be helpful for you? And that's something that I do teach on and I do recommend is get feedback. Like, yes, what you create and how you show up should come from you. And it should come from what you want to create and what you want to do, but also get feedback from those like star clients or star customers or star community members. Don't necessarily worry about like what everybody wants, but like the people that are engaging with you and already paying you or already interacting with your work, talk to them, see what's going on with them and what they might like. So I did decide to offer the program a second time around. And again, it was 3 months. The structure was the same. The content was a little different, so the topics each month were a little bit different, although there was quite a bit of overlap. And Lucinda, maybe you saw that if you watched a few of the like second round videos. But even so, it was, I was like, there's still like, this is still great because we need to hear this stuff again and again. And oftentimes being in a group like that, and especially with that one-on-one component, the work wasn't so much in just like learning and intellectualizing the healthy you information. It was on integrating it and then seeing like what piece of it worked with your life, the client's life. So the second time around, I had my brother and my aunt again. Shout out to my 2 awesome initial fans. Which also, if anyone was on the call yesterday, the workshop yesterday, my aunt was there. She's the best. So I also I offered, and there were some marketing things that I did. Again, I was looking back at the emails and like what I sent out promoting this program. The second time I offered an affiliate program. I like sent this email out to a bunch of my colleagues, like yoga teacher friends and health coach friends and people that I had gone to IIN with. I offered them like a promotion, I guess, a referral reward if they referred someone to my program. Nobody did. Nobody did. It didn't do anything, but like I did it. That was cool. I offered them that. And then I also did an incentive before I like launched the program to my greater community. Or I don't know if this was before or it was just for the current members, but I remember offering them some sort of like buy one, get one discount for the second round of the program. So for the second round, I had my brother, my aunt, and she did like the buy one, get one, or it was buy one, get one 50% off, I think, which was a way to like, that's a way, like an affiliate program or something like buy one, get one 50% off is a way to let your community, let your fans do the marketing for you. You know, you can reach your audience, but they have an extended audience, and especially if they've worked with you before, and they have this incentive, like they're great. That's like such a way to extend your network. So I offered that, like I think it was like 50% off. So her best friend joined the group for 50% off, and she didn't end up staying in it through the whole time because she had some family stuff going on. So it's also interesting, and this is something I've learned again and again and again as I've been in business longer and longer, is most of the time, and there are of course exceptions to this, but most of the time, if somebody, one, doesn't want something, if you have to convince them to work with you or convince them to sign up, or someone else is like pushing it on them, like I've had someone reach out to me and be like, can I pay for coaching for my sister? I'm like, no. If she wants it and she wants you to pay for it, great, have her reach out to me because she has to want it. But if somebody doesn't have like a drive, if they don't have the skin in the game, if they don't want it, if they don't invest in it, they're likely not going to invest their time in it. And I think that was one of the things that happened with her. And then finally, I had one additional sign up, and that was so exciting for me because she ended up staying in through the whole time. She was an active participant. I think we met through Lululemon Run Club, which I had been running at the time, like managing at the time. And that was so exciting for me. And it's always my like newer coaches or teachers or healers out there. It's always really exciting when you get someone you don't know and they're like there, like it's not because there's always a question in your head with like a family member or a friend, like, are they just doing this for me? And like part of it is probably yes, like they're probably just doing it for you. But when somebody from total outside like comes in and they're fully like here and active. So that was really awesome. So truly I had like 3 active participants in that second group. Besides the discounts that I offered, the full price that time was $147 per month for the 3 months. So pay in full was $397, which there was a little discount. And that's something that I've changed. I used to do this. And again, it's like you'll see this a lot in marketing around, and there's a reason, which I'll speak to, but you'll see like, oh, you can do a payment plan or you can pay in full, and then there's a price incentive. And that's for 2 reasons. Well, one, there's something called the time value of money. Any of my like accounting nerds, if Emily's still on here, I just saw that she hopped on Instagram. Any of my accounting, like finance nerds, there's something called the time value money. Money now is worth more than money later. Because money now, you can invest it in yourself. You can invest it in like if you want to invest it in the stock market or in a bond or something. So that's where like it does make sense to like incentivize your customers for money now. Also, if you get the money now, there's no risk. Whereas like I mentioned in my first group, I had somebody who just set up a payment plan and then she ghosted and her payments disappeared. So there's risk there. That being said, I've decided, at least for now, I'm not doing that anymore because I know that some folks, especially with like for me, like working one-on-one with me. Hi, Christina. Working one-on-one with me right now, if you're just going to do like the private mentorship, it's $4,500. I think that's a lot of money. I don't know if I have $4,500 to just put down on a coach right now. If you do, great. And you know, don't want people like investing outside of their means, but I want to offer the payment plan as a fair and equal option. And that's also me tuning into the energy of feeding the vibration of people are not going to default on their payments. Does that make sense? Did I just totally like get confusing, or does that make sense? Makes sense. Okay. We can talk more about this week, next week, whenever we talk for the mastermind this week. Okay, so what else did I want to say here? Oh yeah, so right now I'm just doing any of my programs. The pay in full and the payment plan will end up being the same thing, which, I might change my mind on that. That's the best thing about being an entrepreneur, being in business for yourself. You can experiment with what feels good for you. What feels good for you. So let me see if I answered your questions. Also, if I can read the comments on Instagram, if you have a comment, you can put it there, or anyone on Zoom, you can also ask a question in the comments, or if you want to unmute yourself, if you're cool being on the greater public replay. I want to see if I answered your questions. How many people participated in the program? Let's really say 4 but 3 and 4 but 3. That's like truthfully what it was. And there was 2 people overlap in those groups. Ran the program twice. We went over how much I charged. Okay, how long did it take you to create the content? This is such a great question. And something I was looking back, I was like, as I was reflecting on this, and if I forget to share my takeaways, please remind me, because this is one of them. But I was like, this is great. This is great content. And I put a lot of work into that. Like, not only did I do the Q&A call, I sent out like a whole PDF with notes. Did you see any of the PDFs? Okay. So I don't really remember how long it took me to create the content, but normally what I do this is how I tend to work best, is when I'm launching any sort of program, and I did this with your Stellar Center too, is at the beginning, I set up what I want the container to be. This is the structure of the calls. These are the topics of the calls. And maybe if I'm inspired in the moment, putting a few bullet points there. Then a few days, a few weeks, I don't know. Usually for me, it's like a couple days before the call, or maybe the day of the call. I give myself plenty of space to tune in, to connect to my intuition and what I want to share in that moment, and create the content for the actual call. More and more, I think with that program, and Lucinda, I know you made a note about this in your email to me, which was sweet because I saw it too, is in that program, granted, I was a brand new coach using Zoom. Zoom was new at that point. I wasn't as comfortable on video, so like I was still figuring things out. I had my notes like right up next to the camera and was basically reading from them. I was teaching some like off the script, but I definitely was like referencing my notes really, really hard. And so I think I did a little bit more planning, maybe like an hour or 2 prep for each call. I think 2 hours would probably be pushing it, but that's also me. And I've always been really good live, even if it did have some prep. Like when I was just starting yoga teacher training, or just starting teaching yoga, I would sometimes like map out my classes, but I've always just been able to teach in the moment. I need some sort of structure, some sort of theme, some sort of outline. But I remember like even a year into teaching, some of my friends would tell me, oh, I like sit down, I plan out the whole theme, I plan out the whole structure, I like, practice it on myself, and I never did that. So for this, I would say probably an hour, 90 minutes prep, and then maybe like 30 minutes to an hour on the back end, making sure that the document that had the notes in it had all the links and had all the appropriate like references and any additional content. And that is probably a little bit more time has gone into the content for your Stellar Center, because we have those big workbooks each month. And so I probably spend an hour to 90 minutes prepping for each one of those archetype calls. And I spend probably 2 hours on the back end creating the workbook. But the beautiful thing about that is this program will be continuing, your Stellar Center. And so all of that will be created, and I will just have to tweak it in the future or edit it and not create it again. Okay, so how long did it take you to create the content? And did you create it before you launched the program or as you went between calls? Both. So normally, and that's what I've really done with any group or any like lecture, even like a workshop that I offer, I have an idea for the main themes or the main points I want to hit, and then I'll let the inspiration come to me. The other thing that I should say, and this is what I was thinking as I was talking about what I would have, like the time commitment. Okay, I sat down and allocated an hour to prep, but I'm always prepping because I'm always learning, and like life is what I bring. Like my learning and my studies and my life is what I bring to the table. So what I found is the more that I create that space, the less, and like create the space for me to be present, to be learning, to be with my intuition, the less I need to like sit down and do notes. And also the better the content gets, which maybe you can attest to that. Like, not that that was like bad content back then, but it was just, it was very like, you could tell I was reading from notes. Okay. And what was the overall experience like for you? The main takeaway that I want to share here is, oh, somebody said they just signed up for IIN, so this is very helpful. Great. I'm so glad you're here. Nice to be connected with you. And yeah, excited for your journey. My main takeaway from this is two things. One, there were definitely moments when I felt a little resentful in that program. And truly, those were moments when, one, I overcommitted myself from like just a general scheduling perspective. So that's something to know. That has nothing to do with the program itself. And in those moments where it was like the trade situation where I felt like I was just like trying to drag this person along and like, you know, following up with them to schedule calls and, you know, they were not really present on the group calls and being distracted. And now I see that that's because like I tried so hard to bring them in, and truly that shouldn't be the case. You know, it might be the case, and you might have those folks, especially as you're beginning and just trying to get experience and work with whoever's there. But the more and more you're able to trust your value and show up authentically as you, the people that want to be around that and that are like eager, that are the great, you know, they're the ones that show up on time with the questions, with the homework done, or at least like present, and you'll have to do less work as the coach. Because it's not your job as a coach to save or fix or do anything for your client. You open the doors, you maybe share new perspectives, you hold space, you offer compassion, but it should not feel like a weight. And if it feels like a weight, then there's something that needs to shift. So if I'm being really honest, there were some moments where it felt resentful, and of course, like entrepreneurship and putting yourself out there as a coach or a teacher, like can be kind of a mindfuck. That's what I like to say. And it brings up all of your stuff, all of your own like belief systems, not enough, not smart enough, not good enough on camera, it brings it all up. So sorry, Andrea, if that's like a rude awakening, but probably you're feeling it anyways. Like that's kind of the point of this, is when you step into a role as like a teacher or a leader, there's your own work that you need to do, and that never ends. Even if you step in, like if you're a mom, like that brings up stuff too, right? Because you have to show up in a new way. So, but overall, the experience was wonderful, and I'm so grateful for it because it gave me something to focus on. And a beautiful thing about like a group program is that you have this like structure to work through, and it gives you some freedom to try out new coaching methodologies, or just like working with someone when they sign a 6-month package versus a single session. Like you get to take the pressure off selling or launching for a moment and actually do the stuff that you're interested in and teach. So it definitely pushed me to my comfort zone, teaching on Zoom, teaching a group, teaching to many different, because the people in my group, like I said, it was my aunt, who's obviously older than me, not obviously, but she is older than me. My brother, he's younger than me. He's a man. So there's like very different dynamics there. My roommate, who's like my age, but like in a very different place. So it was good experience teaching to a group. Great experience putting some marketing tools into practice. Like I said, I ran an affiliate program. I wrote, sales emails. I did some like sales promotions, had sales calls, which was all really great experience. So great experience. And like I shared, I think in our most recent mastermind call, there's value in something, even if it's not just financial. Ideally, you get paid for something and you get these other like side benefits as well: experience, testimonials, referrals. You get to beta test a program and then offer it another time. But ideally, you get paid at the same time as well. That's like the win-win situation, or not win-win, but like, best situation. And so my big takeaways now from looking back on these videos: one, I had a lot of resistance to it. I was like, and it definitely brought up, of course, some of my own like stuff. And I just had to watch them with, like, it was really a practice in compassion and non-judgment and accepting myself exactly as I was then, and also accepting myself exactly as I am now, and honoring both versions and the whole evolution of me. So that was such a beautiful practice in self-compassion. And then in a more practical level, there was a lot of, mostly I was just like, there were some awkward moments, but mostly I was just like, way to go, Emily. Like, way to go. Like, that was really a good job. There was a lot of great content, and there's a lot that I have taught around food and what I would say like healthy basics, the food, the exercise, the meditation, that I don't teach as much about anymore. It's not like the center of my work or my programs or my coaching, but I realized there's a lot of value I have to offer there, and it was a huge part of my journey. And so that's something that I'm going to work on this year, is not necessarily reusing these videos, because there's more I have to say on the topic. I can say it more clearly, I can say it more concisely and in a different manner, but connecting back to some of those more like fundamental practical concepts, bringing that to the table, because it was an important part in my journey, and because I know it's an important part in many of my client, my community, my customers' journey as well. So there will definitely be something coming in 2021. And if you're in your Stellar Center, you'll 100% be a part of it. And if you're not in your Stellar Center, get yourself on the wait list. Although I don't know if that's an option on my website right now, because it's under construction. But if you want to be on the wait list, just send me an email. And yeah, so I there's something coming around the like food and exercise and more like 3D practical healthy basics for me this year that I want to create as a program that then I won't really live teach that again. It'll be a module that people can purchase, and then they can come learn like more of the spiritual, more of the entrepreneurial concepts, the things that really light me up now. The second big aha was like, and this is something I saw through going back through this content and also going back through my Instagram posts for the last few years, is that I've been talking about intuition. I've been talking about like mindset and spiritual concepts since the beginning, even though they weren't the forefront. Like, they're coming more to the forefront now. I did a live on law of attraction and a live on past lives last week. And so they're coming to the forefront now, and that feels really good. But they were there all along, and that's cool to see, because a lot of these concepts have gotten popular. Wellness has gotten popular, and that's not why I'm in it. But sometimes I can doubt myself, like, are you just doing this because everyone is doing it? Are you just doing this because, like, not even because everyone's doing it, but like that, is there a space for me here? Am I really meant to be here? And watching myself, like, saying things that, I still believe now and are still core tenets of my teaching now in 2015, I was like, okay, cool. Like, this is who I am. This is who I am, and this is what I'm here to offer, even if the like way it's coming across continues to evolve and change, which it will. And then finally, my takeaway that I already sort of mentioned was that the content is very valuable still, but it needs a new container. It needs a fresh container. It needs probably some updates and just like more present me. And I also think one of the things I was watching in those videos, I'm like, this is so slow. And that's also because the videos are not for me right now. Like, they're probably helpful for somebody else. They're not for me right now. So a new container would feel more aligned. So wow, didn't think this was going to go on for 45 minutes, but it's totally cool. If anybody watching, if anyone's still on Instagram and wants to ask a question, please feel free to ask. Lucinda, if you have any other questions, it's always open to your questions. And yeah, I just hope that this was, whether or not you are a coach or you're thinking of offering a group program or an online program, I hope this was helpful for you. And I hope that by me sharing my story, it, makes you think maybe of some new things you can do, new opportunities. It's inspirational for you. And also, like, some of the things I shared, some of my like slip ups or challenges along the way, allow you to realize that you're not doing anything wrong. You're not alone. You're not a failure. There's nothing to be ashamed of if the insides of your business or the insides of yourself don't exactly match what you feel like they should or what everyone else looks like on the outside. Cool. Well, if there are no other questions, I'm going to hop off because I have another call at 1.
Thank you so much, Emily.
You're so welcome. And yeah, if you're tuning in on Instagram, the best way to connect with me, well, you can hang out here, but the best way to connect with me is make sure that you're on my email list. That's where I send out like weekly-ish. They're becoming a little less than weekly emails, but that's how you can know like where my latest live teachings are, and when you can know when your Stellar Center opens or when any of my workshops or programs open. I did put the replay of the Remembering the Future, the visioning workshop that I did yesterday on Eventbrite, so you can get the replay. There is a slight technical issue, but if you purchase it, I will make sure that you get the workshop. I'm working on working that out. Mercury retrograde shadow, I see you, I feel you. But that is up on Eventbrite. There's also an Aquarius energy masterclass happening later this month, and that's a way to like connect with me and learn with me live and ask questions. So that's all, folks. So good to see you. So good to see you, and I will see you all very soon. All right, ending this and ending this. Why do I always forget how to end Instagram Live?